Welcome for the first live at Integral Body Institute, first live of 2021. Today, the topic is connecting to the source, finding love and stillness in everyday life. I invited a beautiful guest, a dear friend of mine, Frank Arjava Petter. And I would like to introduce in a moment Arjava. In the meantime, I would like to also mention a little bit about his background. Arjava in the past 22 years has been teaching Reiki, meditation, and family constellation worldwide to thousands of students. Arjava is originally German, but has lived and worked abroad most of his adult life. He has worked as a therapist as well as being one of the personal gardener and bodyguard of Osho, in whose presence he lived for 6 years. His involvement in Reiki culminated in publication of his international best-selling books like Reiki Fire, Reiki, the Legacy of Dr. Usui, the original Reiki Handbook of Dr. Mikao Usui, the Spirit of Reiki, Reiki Best Practices, the Reiki Techniques of Dr. Hayashi, Being Happy, Reiki Clear and Simple, This is Reiki, One with Reiki, and more in making. So let me bring Arjava on the screen with us. Hello, Arjava. Happy to see
Hi,
you.
Nisarga.
New
Thank
Year.
you. Very happy to see you too. Those of you who are listening, you don't know we're only about 2 kilometers apart.
Yes, we're very close. We're neighbors.
Yeah, we're neighbors, and we've been trying to do this real life, but didn't have the technical possibility. So we're each sitting in front of our computers, and here we are. Nice start for 2021.
Very beautiful. I was just reading your bio to the community, and I'm so much impressed about your involvement in Reiki and so many publications you have made, many bestseller about Reiki. So I would maybe start from the question about how all this started for you with the journey and how Reiki become your kind of main path or journey.
Um, I grew up, my parents were very progressive. I was born in Germany in 1960, and my parents used to take us to homeopathic doctors, to healers. For them, that was kind of normal. Yeah? Both of my parents grew up in present day Poland. You don't know that yet, but now you do. And there was normal. Instead of going to the medical doctor, you'd go to a healer when you had a stomach ache or a fever. Some lady in the village praying for your illness to go away or so, or talking to saints. So I grew up with that kind of thing, but I never had any plan whatsoever to write books, to get into Reiki, to become famous or anything. There was no desire whatsoever. I was, from my point of view, completely accidental. So it started like this. I was in Pune at the Osho ashram. I had a terrible headache. So it all started with a headache. And my girlfriend at the time said, "Oh, I have this friend who does Reiki, and maybe she can give you a treatment. Your headache might get better or go away." And the girl came over and gave me a treatment. I thought it was the most boring thing that ever happened in my life. And it didn't work. That's how I got into it. And then a little while later, I caught myself looking for a Reiki teacher and wondering, why are you looking for a teacher to teach you something that you found so boring and it didn't have the desired result? And years later, I understood what had happened. The Reiki, when you get a Reiki treatment, somehow it tickles your soul. And once your soul is tickled, it starts to smile and it cannot forget. Yeah, that's how it started.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. For me, I had lately privilege to receive some sessions from you. You were helping me with some knee pain, a knee injury, and I really liked that the approach. And for me, it's very also similar vibe to biodynamic craniosacral in some ways. It's kind of energetical connection. So I would like to ask you more about how works Reiki and how energy works is included in the Reiki healing.
Okay, so basically, from my point of view, the healing does not happen because of the Reiki. The Reiki doesn't heal the client, but the client, or better said, the client's body heals itself if it can, if it still has enough energy left. Yeah? So, from a Reiki point of view, and in Cranio, I think it's very similar. We consider that we take in toxins from the environment through the food that we eat. Therefore, diet is obviously important. The things that we drink, the air that we breathe, the polluted air, the electromagnetic stuff that is all around us all the time. And all those chemicals come into our body. And of course, they are not bad, morally bad. Chemicals are part of life, just as you and I are. But the body can't eliminate them right away or cannot transform them right away. Yeah? So they get stuck in our body. Those chemicals get stuck in our body. Those toxins get stuck in our body. And if there is enough energy in the body, if your diet is good, if your exercise is good, if you are positive, you think and feel positively, if you live in a good place, perhaps if you have work that you love, if you're in a good relationship, if you're generally happy, then you have plenty of energy to detox. But if for some reason you don't, yeah, then this toxic material accumulates more and more and more. And at some point, the balance tips towards sickness. Okay? Then maybe you go to a body worker or to a massage therapist, to acupuncture, a Reiki person, and what they will try to do is they will try to energize the body, and the body then will take that energy and begin to detox. Yeah? So the body heals itself. So with Reiki, we give the power back to the body to heal itself, if it still can. Yeah? And many times it can, but if somebody's been abusing their body for too many years, then maybe that's not possible. Yeah? So it's not really the Reiki that helps. It's the body that does the magic. The body has all it needs to be healthy and all it needs to rejuvenate and recuperate itself.
That's great. And so, what is the trick, or what is the way in Reiki for connecting to that source? Because what in case if somebody doesn't have healthy diet, doesn't live in a healthy environment, doesn't live in nourishing relationship, doesn't have that access of energy for the body to maintain health and release toxins from the body. So as I would call a Reiki practitioner that holds space for such person, what is the approach to open up their channels or help them to connect to that source so they can start slowly build up that potency in the body? In craniosacral we call it fluid tide, where we start opening that resilience of the body to contain more energy and be open to that healing forces to start healing itself. So what is the way in Reiki as from your perspective?
The way in Reiki, it's rooted in Japanese culture, the indigenous culture of Japan, which is Shinto or Shintoism. And in Shintoism, the people believe that everybody has a soul, and that soul is not an individual soul, but a collective soul, a shared soul. Yeah? And the Christian mystics, they think in a similar way, because they say, look, you don't have a soul, but you are swimming in it, you're floating in it. Yeah, that soul is all over the place. You're like a fish in the sea, swimming in this incredible ocean of soul blessings. Yeah? So the Japanese see it in a very similar way. They believe that everyone has been given a little bit of this soul aspect by the gods, yeah, of which they believe there are millions, and each one of us has the potential to become one of those gods in our lifetime. Anyway, the gods come and share a little bit of this soul power with the embryo in the future mother's belly around the third or fourth month of the pregnancy. And that soul is lodged where the third eye and the crown chakra are meeting in one line. Yeah? So if you were to connect the third eye and the crown chakra, and you go in a straight line through the third eye or from the top down, where those two meet, whoops, there. Yeah?
Yeah.
This is for the Japanese the seat of the soul, and that seat of the soul is connected via an invisible channel to source. Yeah, so each one of us is naturally connected to source. There's nothing you need to do really to connect somebody. You don't have to open channels or open chakras or do something artificial. This is the natural state. We are all connected, but we have forgotten. Yeah? So in Reiki, when you touch somebody, there is a recognition, there's a memory, because all of us know that we are connected, and then maybe we remember it in a treatment, or if you are more deeply or want to get more deeply involved and you want to learn how to do it, then you receive an initiation. And in that initiation, the forgotten is brought back into consciousness, into knowing. Yeah? So that's the idea.
When I had one of the sessions with you, I think one of the first session with you for my knee injury, I was very intrigued when you shared at the end that you felt that you measured sensations in the body in different gradation, and I just want to ask you how do you recognize what's present in the body with such a gentle and present touch? How you can tell, and what are the levels of measurement?
Okay, yeah, this is training and practice of obviously. Yeah? So in Reiki we know that you cannot reach some kind of skill without practice. It's obvious. Yeah? It's in all disciplines, spiritual or mundane, it's exactly the same. If you want to be good at carpentry, you're going to have to work on wood as much as possible to learn the art of touching the wood, of understanding it. And with Reiki, it's the same. So first thing is you need to practice, you need to give treatments, and then you need to train the sensitivity of your fingers. And there are some other exercises like in Qigong where you learn to feel subtle energy, This exercise, I'm sure you have seen many people practice them in Qigong or in Tai Chi or in other martial arts. We also do that, but mainly we do treatments by just placing the hands on the body and leaving them there for maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe longer, and seeing with your fingers, feeling with your fingers, sensing with your fingers, hearing with your fingers, channeling all the senses through the tips of your fingers, through the palms of your hands, even the back of the hand, by listening very carefully what is going on in the body. And in Japanese, we call what is going on in the body byo-sen. Yeah? Byo is a Japanese word that means sick, and sen is another Japanese word that means accumulation. Yeah? So the accumulation of sickness or the accumulation of toxins in the body. And this is what we learn to perceive with our hands. So when we place our hands on the body and we leave it there for a while, then we feel different levels of toxicity. And in Reiki, there are 5. I'll just say it quickly. This is a kind of a big subject. It would take a few hours to get into it really deeply, yeah, and practice, but I do a fast forward. Yeah? Okay, done. So the first thing is heat. Yeah, that's the lowest of the toxicity. When you place your hands on somebody's body and you perceive heat, yeah, and that heat is just a little bit higher than the normal body temperature. So perhaps you put your hand, one hand on the liver and the other hand on the spleen, and you think, ooh, that hand on the liver is a little bit hotter, seems a little bit hotter than the hand that's on the spleen. That would be the lowest level of toxicity. Yeah, so we know some toxins have accumulated there, but it's in the green area. The body is taking care of it beautifully. There's no need to do anything here. Of course, if we were to leave our hands in that place, the client would probably really enjoy it and say, oh, your hands are so warm and soothing and beautiful, but there's no need. Yeah? This is the lowest level of toxicity. The second level is strong heat, so strong that you might perceive it as burning, a burning sensation, so much so that you think you're going to burn through the clothes or through the skin of your clients. And that tells you more toxins have accumulated here, but still the body is doing its job. Yeah? So let's go back to a little bit of Reiki theory. Yeah? So the body goes through stages of work and rest all the time. Like us, we can't work all the time. We need to work and rest. Yeah? So when the body does its work beautifully, when there are toxins in the body, but there's enough energy, then it will detox periodically and will keep the toxicity at the first 2 levels, heat or strong heat. And if for some reason the body does not have enough energy and the toxins accumulate more, then you will feel the 3rd level, which is felt as a tingling sensation, numbness sometimes, pins and needles or ants running through your fingers. Then you know, aha, okay, here we are at the dividing line in between okay and perhaps not okay. And here we must stay until the perception that we have again sinks down to one of the first 2 levels, either heat, a little bit elevated heat or strong heat. Okay? So first two levels are like the green zone. The third one is in between okay and not okay. And then we have two more. One is pulsation, that's level 4, and the last level is pain. And this is pulsation that the Reiki practitioner feels in their hands, not the client. The client will just be blissed out and will be feeling very good. But the practitioner might feel a pulsation in their hands, in their fingers, in the back of the hand, or pain. And then we know, okay, here something is really not okay. And we have to stay here until the perception goes down to one of the first 2 or maximum the first 3 levels. And that might happen in one treatment. Then you have an instantaneous healing. But that might take a few days or a few weeks or a few months. So it's a long process, and this is how you know the severity of what is going on in the body. You might not know what it is. So it's not like you have an ultrasound machine in your hand. That comes with practice.
Yeah.
When your perception is mixed with some kind of intuition, where you just go, "Ooh, this could be this or that." So, for example, when I was working on your knee, I realized very quickly that you don't really have a very serious issue there. That the ligament is not ripped. I could within a few minutes, but that takes time to develop that sort of skill.
Indeed, it settled very quickly after first 2 sessions, and it somehow the tissue. I felt in the first session the tissue was really pulsating under the hand. There was a lot of stress and tension, and slowly it got like really stable. So today's live title is Connecting to the Source: Finding Love and Stillness in Everyday Life. So if you could elaborate that topic, love and stillness. We are going through such a crazy time right now, where there's a lot of fear around, and it's very global situation. And I know from many discourses of Osho also that fear is opposite of love. If we are in fear, we are disconnected from love. So finding love, it means somehow, I think, also be able to find a peace within ourselves and be able to deal with the fear, go on the other side of the fear to come out in love. Because as far as I understood, these two feelings are kind of cannot coexist together in a certain degree. So I just would like to ask you to go deeper with the subject of our life.
Yeah, so I totally agree. These days are difficult. This last 9 months have been very difficult for everybody, for all of us. I don't think we can take anybody out of that equation. It's been difficult for you, for me, for everyone. And what I see is that it seems to bring out issues that are dormant, underlying issues. It brings them out. And it's maybe hard, but it's also a good chance to take a look and to take inventory and to take a look, okay, what is it that is bothering me? And you probably find that some things come up that you thought you were finished with, but you're not. Again, they are in front of you. So this whole virus situation is kind of a good mirror showing you what you've got going on. And from my point of view, the medicine for any kind of illness is love and is stillness. So the title that we thought of for this talk is a little misleading when we say connecting to the source. It sounds like there is something that you need to do to connect, that you need to do something to connect to God, to essence, to oneness, or whatever word you may have for that. Yeah? It implies that you are disconnected, you're lonely, you're a separate self, something different from the whole, and that you need to do something to connect and to be one again. But that's really not true, because the ultimate truth is that you and the world are one. Your life, with everything that you do, everything that you don't do, everything that you think, everything that happens to you, good, bad, ugly, or mad, this is you. You are your life, you are the world, and you are it. The subject is always you, yeah? Just you. And I have some image about that. We all learn to separate ourselves into heart and mind, into spiritual and not spiritual, and that creates a terrible duality that gnaws at the heart all the time, that hurts. Yeah? We think we are a separate identity. This is me, that is yours, this is mine, that is yours. But think of an orange. We live here in Lesbos in this beautiful place, and across the street there's a gorgeous orange tree. So I see oranges all the time. Yeah? So think of an orange. Would you consider ever that the peel of the orange, that thin white membrane inside, the fruit flesh and the seeds were separate? No, you would never consider that. You would always think of an orange as one. It's one thing. The parts are not separate, and we are the same. Our mind, our heart, our soul, if there is such a thing, our essence, our skin, our physical body, it's all exactly one thing. It belongs together, and you can enter either one of the different bodies, so to speak, through each other. Yes, like they have an old-fashioned restaurant kitchen door, one that swings both ways. Yeah? So you can enter the heart through the mind through the heart, the body through the mind, the body through the heart, the soul through the body. It goes in all ways, and that's why all these things that we do, all the body work, the beautiful disciplines, the shiatsu or acupuncture or cranial, or the work that you do is so important, because you can travel through the body into all the other areas that are important, into your heart and into your mind. Yeah? So see yourself as whole, as one. Don't cut yourself into heart and mind, because then you start to get confused. Yeah? I think this, but I feel something else, not healthy. Yeah? Consider it one. Know it. Know yourself as one. Yeah? Then you realize that the spiritual and the worldly is one. There is no difference between one or the other. If you do something worldly and you do it with the proper spiritual attitude, it becomes like prayer or meditation. But if you do something spiritual, in quotation marks, with a business type attitude, then the spiritual becomes mundane. It's all in your attitude. The choice always is yours. And I remember years ago, I read a very beautiful book by a Tibetan Lama, and he said, enlightenment is a choice. Yeah, so you have, in every moment, you have the choice whether to act in an enlightened way. I don't mean enlightenment as a big thing, yeah? But as a in an ethical way, a good way, the right way, doing the right thing. Yeah? So
Lovely.
you can act
Yeah.
in an enlightened way, or you can act in a neurotic way, and the choice is yours. Yeah? And the more you make good choices to act in an enlightened way, yeah, the better your life becomes. Yes, so that's the
Mm. So it's like we're taking choice for those decisions, and in a way we're taking responsibility also with all the thoughts, feelings, words, and our emotions. Yeah.
exactly. This is all yours. It's your responsibility and yours only. Yeah? So you always reflect when you're feeling something. You reflect and look where it's coming from, and then let it go and don't act out of past conditioning. Yeah? The Japanese also, like the Tibetans, have a similar idea in Zen Buddhism about enlightened action. And they say essentially there really is no enlightenment, because if enlightenment is a dissolution of ego, who is going to be there to be enlightened? There's nobody home. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm,
they
mm,
say what there is enlightened action, good action.
mm. Wow,
Yeah.
beautiful.
And that's, I love that, because it takes all the weight off your shoulders. So you don't need to become something that you are not. You don't need to be different than who you are. Just do the right thing, and you always know what the right thing is. I think all of us have this built-in understanding of what is right and what is not. When I violate myself, let's say we meet and you tell me something and it hurts me, but I swallow it, I know I'm violating myself. When I say something hurtful to somebody else, I know that I'm violating the other. When somebody else violates me, I know.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Still, yeah, we do it. Still, we let ourselves be abused, and we abuse others. And this attitude of enlightened action, it finishes that one.
Mm,
Yeah, so when trust yourself, trust that you know what is right and good and
mm,
ethical, and
mm.
what is loving and what is kind, and start spreading that love and that kindness in your surroundings, in your environment, in your actions.
Very inspiring. Very inspiring. Over the last 22 years, you have been teaching Reiki meditation, family constellation for thousands of students worldwide. And also, I want to ask you something that is interesting from my own perspective as a body worker, a breath worker, teaching, traveling all over the world. And how do you keep energetic hygiene? What I mean by that, because you're meeting so many people, you work with trauma, with emotions, with feeling, with energy directly. And this is also a question that very often comes from my students about how do we clear up ourselves, after session, if we finish session and then we having headache, or we pick up some strong feelings from the clients. How do you deal with it over so many years of your experience? I'm very curious.
I don't.
Next question.
Yeah, no, it's as simple as that, but obviously it's not so simple. Huh?
Yeah.
So basically, the from my point of view, the best protection that you could possibly have is to open your heart full, completely, yeah, and not be afraid, and just open your heart completely, open all the doors, yeah, and then whatever comes at you, will just pass through you. Finished. Yeah. But
Okay.
then this is possible only when you are centered, when you're breathing beautifully, when you're reflecting, yeah, when you're just an open window, just receiving, letting the energy go through you and letting the energy pass through you. But there are times when you feel vulnerable, when you can't do it. Yeah? And these are the times when you think that you're receiving something negative from somebody else. Yeah? So from my experience, this is the best. It's just be open and invite everything, whatever it is. There is nothing bad, nothing good. If you notice that a headache that you didn't have before the treatment is coming on, just realize it's not yours. Yeah? You're just feeling, you're using your body as a measuring instrument of the client that you are working on. If you realize that, then you can let it go and say, okay, it's not mine. I got it. He has a headache. Put your hand on their head, and they will say, how do you know I have a headache? How did you get that?
Yeah.
So use your body as a measuring instrument. This is one. Yeah? Two is that I think it's a question of attitude. If I think that I'm healing somebody, then I might be tempted to take an illness away from somebody. Yeah? And then I get sick.
Mm.
So it's not like that. We're not healing anybody. We're not here to carry the cross of somebody else. Everybody is responsible for their own stuff, and everybody is in exactly the right situation as they are right now. Yeah, so there's no need to take something away from somebody, and there's no need to think that you are healing somebody. You're not. You're just removing obstacles, maybe. You're just helping to remove blockages so that the body can fix itself. If you have that attitude, you're not going to catch anything. Yeah? And if you do feel something, that's okay. Nothing wrong with it. Just let it go. Don't make it your own, and don't take it home.
This shall also
Yes?
pass, right? This shall also pass.
This will definitely pass. Yeah?
Yeah.
But we've all grown up thinking that we must alleviate the other suffering. This would be a good thing to do, to help somebody. So here comes a very tricky subject, intention. Yeah? So from my point of view, if you let go of all your intention during a treatment, you're not going to catch any negative energy ever. But you have to have intention at the beginning. Otherwise, you don't do nothing. Yeah, you see somebody limping by and you go, oh, what a nice limp he has. Beautiful. And you do nothing. Yeah? So you have to have an intention. You see him limping by and you go, maybe I can help him. But then the moment you start, you let that intention go. Because in the end, intention is just ego. Yeah? It's ego saying, I know better than life. I know, but I'm going to change that. I don't like this. And this way you cannot help anybody. You can help only by loving, by loving the broken leg and by loving the cancer, whatever, by loving it.
Wow.
So have the intention, and then when you start the work, let it go. In meditation, it's the same. I know this from my own experience. I spent so many years meditating with Osho. And the first 20 years, I was always meditating, trying to reach this, by definition, unreachable carrot in front of my face that I had placed there myself, trying to be different than I am. It doesn't work. Yeah? So when you're meditating, you need an intention to sit, But then the moment you sit, leave it, let the tension go. Yeah, so similar dynamics on many different levels in healing, in meditation, in daily life, same. Yeah, so 3-4 things. First of all, you are not healing anybody. Second of all, leave your intention and then open your heart as wide as possible and let everything pass through you and don't have any judgment. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. Yeah? An illness is not bad. Yeah? Who says it's bad? It's just what it is. Yeah? So you deal with it.
I
And
love,
then you
yeah. I love this what you said about non-judgment, because I think in the space of full acceptance, there's something really happening that we can ignite the healing because there's no judgment. So I really like that.
yeah, the healing can happen only from a love point of view. Yeah, I remember many years ago I read a book by the Austrian mystic Rudolf Steiner, and he said you can heal somebody only, you can heal a disease only if you love it. And when I read it, was before I practiced Reiki, I was thinking, what the hell is he saying? But it's very deep and very true. Yeah, so all of that must come out of a loving space. Just imagine that you have, or the client has cancer, and he comes in, says, I have cancer, and you shrink inside, and you go, ooh, yuck, what a terrible thing. And you have all this judgment about what that is. When you touch that person, how are you going to touch them? Yeah, what kind of attitude are you touching them with? If you don't agree, if you don't give space to whatever it is that's happening to them, you must love them as they are with the cancer. And I practice in this way, that I touch my clients with the same intimacy that I touch my kids or my wife with. Obviously not sexual, but intimate, loving, with this tenderness that's almost unbearable. Yeah? I touch them. And this is what does the magic. Yeah? Then when you feel loved, things change.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah? Magic.
There's a question from one of the viewer, Irene. The question is, most of the time people receive Reiki for physical problems, and then I understand what you tell. Do you also help people with mental problems through Reiki?
Yeah, body and mind are one. Yeah, so whatever somebody is challenged by, we can work on it. It's kind of obvious. Yeah, think about it. Somebody is stressed out mentally, emotionally, yeah, with the situation at home, with the relationship, with the work situation. What happens with the body? Body gets tight.
Yeah.
If you do body work on that person, the body relaxes. When the body relaxes, what happens? The mind, the tension goes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant earlier when I said these different bodies that we have: the physical body, the mental, emotional bodies, and all the other etheric stuff that is around us. They have they're connected by this restaurant door that swings in both directions. Yeah? You can always work on each one by any of the others. And the most easy way to work on psycho-emotional things, if you don't have training with that, is body work.
Wow.
Yeah, then of course you need the training in body work, but you don't need to be a, let's say, clinical psychologist or anything. If you have these kind of skills, of course, great. Yeah, then you can go directly for the psycho-emotional construction site and go to work there. And in Reiki, we have a special technique for that too. to do that.
Very beautiful.
So yes, whatever the challenge, we go and work on that.
Connecting to the source, finding love and stillness in everyday life. I would like to ask you at the end of our talk, Arjava, maybe guiding us into some meditation, few minutes meditation that can really help us to connect to the source and find that love and stillness on everyday life. Something practical we can take home and practice on daily basis.
Okay, let's do two things. One is very short, and then the other one a little bit longer. So the first one is something that I learned when I was in India with Osho a long time ago. I went there when I was 18, so 42 years ago. And he was teaching so many different meditation techniques, and one of them is an old Taoist exercise. And let's do it all together now. He called it the inner smile. So you just relax, take a few deep breaths, and then imagine lightly that your heart has lips. Yeah, just like your lips in your face, your heart has lips, and those lips are smiling. Yeah, so your heart is smiling. And before you know it, that smile moves all over your face. And I wish we could see everybody who's watching us and listening to us now. Everybody will just look like little Buddhas. Beautiful. It's such an easy thing. Yeah? And this is how you can connect to your essence, to the love in your heart, to the stillness in your heart. And there you are. Yeah? Then you are in harmony with your essence, in harmony with your soul, in harmony with your real, true self, your original being, whatever you might call it. And this is an easy exercise. Start doing this every day in the morning for a few minutes. After you wake up, just don't open your eyes. Look inside, feel your heart from the inside, and then imagine that your heart is smiling, the lips of your heart are smiling. Your day is going to be completely different, and people will look at you differently. It's a big transformation. The beauty about this is that if you nourish your heart with love, kindness, compassion, gratitude, any of those things, yeah, then the negative or the lower, let's say the lower emotions, the anger, the worry, the fear, and all of that can't really grow in there. Yeah? So if you fill your heart with love, there is no room for hate, for anger, for fear, for violence. Yeah? And you don't have to fight with it, or you don't have to repress it either. Yeah? Just fill your heart with love, with kindness, and all the other stuff will just go away by itself. Yeah? Nothing you have to do. Yeah? Simple.
Very nice.
So the next exercise, this is something we can do together, is to just imagine your heart now from the inside, to get into your heart. And you can either start that by feeling the love you have for a special person, or just feeling the love that is there, or by placing one hand on your chest. Yeah? And then feel that love in your heart. Let your heart fill with that love. You just imagine that this love is a beautiful nectar that fills your heart all the way to the brim. And perhaps you can imagine that this love has filled your heart now. And it wants to overflow, it wants to continue, it wants to go further and further. So imagine the room that you're sitting in. And let your love fill this room that you're sitting in. Let it wash over the room, let it fill the room until you can kind of feel the walls of the room. Everything is filled with love, the ceiling. So your room with everything that's in it is flooded with love, the most beautiful, gorgeous, tender love. And then expand that love more if you're living in a village or a town. Let that love in your heart flood all of that. Just imagine that it expands and it expands more and more. It includes all the buildings, all the roads, all the cars, all the people, no matter whether you think of them as good or bad. Just fill all of it up, all your area, fill that up with love. And then go on further. You might imagine yourself floating up above the area that you are living in. You see it from up there, all filled with the love that's in your heart. And this love is neither yours nor mine nor anybody's. It's just borrowed from the universe for a little while before it has to be given back. So continue your way up and let your heart flood the whole country that you're in with love. And on, float further up. And let your love flood the continent that you're in. So if you're in Europe somewhere, flood the whole of Europe with your love, with your kindness. And that love goes everywhere. All of nature, all of the cities, all of the people, regardless of whether we might judge them as good or bad. Just flood everything in Europe with your love and then continue until you extend your love to the whole earth and beyond. So next step is just imagine the universe, the whole cosmos, and let that flood with the love that is in your heart. And you will see that there's still lots of space in there left. All right.
Wow, feel so much expansion and a kind of loving, peaceful presence. Very beautiful. Thank you, Arjava, for sharing with us today your wisdom. Thank you everybody for joining our live. If you'd like to find out more about Arjava, you can find his website frankarjavapetter.com. He's also on Facebook, on Instagram, and also you can find many of his best-selling books about Reiki. So I recommend you also read some of his amazing books. And maybe if you're lucky, also having live session with him. I had free session lately with Reiki, and my injury of pain of knee pain injury improved a lot. So great healer. Thank you, Arjava, again. I see you soon, hopefully in a few days. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for live. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening and rest of 2021.
Okay, thank you, Nisarga, and thank you everybody for watching, for listening. Have a great life. Yeah? Embrace it fully, live it fully. Just spread your love all over the place, yeah? And I promise you, you're gonna have fun.
Beautiful message.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.